Welcome to
The Modern Dog Parents. Back again, and happy Easter or happy long weekend if you don't believe in Easter.
Just enjoy the chocolates.
Exactly, yeah. Today we've got a good episode for you, so stay tuned. We're going to be talking about some natural alternatives to clean your dog's teeth because as modern dog parents, we know we're meant to brush them, how important it is, Lenny's dental health. But I'm sure you all find this too. We don't have time. It's very hard to brush their teeth. Lenny's a good boy, but I'm sure a lot of you struggle with reactive dogs that don't like you getting in there with a toothbrush. So we're going to talk a little bit about why dental health is important, how plaque and tartar forms, and some natural alternatives for you to clean your dog's teeth so you can look after their long-term health. So give us a like in the comments, is it? Or
Yeah, a like, a
a
subscribe,
like, yeah,
a comment, a share, a repost, anything.
we appreciate it. So why don't we get started, Mel, and talk a little bit about why dental health is important, maybe what we do with Lenny. Because obviously we usually give him a lot of chews and that sort of thing, and we haven't been as onto it with brushing.
It's been a little bit hard at the moment. I think we've had so much on since we've had the business. So it was easier when he was a puppy and we could hold him and, kind of put him under our arms and brush his teeth. But with time, we've noticed that giving chews was a lot more realistic, something that we can let him chew on for 10, 15 minutes and we knew it was brushing his teeth. But the problem with this boy is that he's quite lazy. So he tends to chew more on one side than the other, or sometimes he might lose interest in the bone. And I feel like that does happen quite a bit. So we've kind of come down with this routine, I feel like is working right now, which is, changing bones, making sure it's still interesting for him and giving it to him every second day. But yeah, we can get into a little bit about what we do for Lenny and why dental health is important. Actually, I'll ask you that question. Why is dental health so important in dogs?
Yeah, well, I think to start with, I'd say that to check your own dog's dental health, you just lift their lip and you want to look at around the top of their teeth, which is where this plaque and tartar can form. You don't want to see any yellowing or darkening color at the top of their teeth. And also it's good to, I know this is sort of funny, but giving their gums a bit of a smell. If it's irony or they have bad breath, that isn't normal because we think that doggy breath is normal in a sense, but it definitely isn't, and that means something under the surface is going wrong. And the reason it's so important, as you asked, is that we may think dental health is just aesthetic, to do with their teeth, but what it is it's actually bacteria forming in their gums and in their teeth, and this bacteria doesn't just stay in their mouth, it travels through their entire systems, just like us. It travels to their hearts and can cause endocarditis, can travel to their liver and their kidneys and cause a lot of other health conditions. So if you're not looking after your dog's teeth, this can cause a lot of other chronic health problems for them. So it's incredibly important, as Mel said, every 2 days you want to be doing something, whether it's brushing or giving a chew, because that's how long it takes for the tartar to form. So it starts off as plaque on the teeth, which is this biofilm of sort of sugar that the bacteria feeds on. And it takes 2 days, 2 to 3 days for that plaque to harden into tartar or calculus. That's what you might also hear. It's called tartar or calculus. You might have heard from this from your own dentist and from your own dental cleans. So that's why you want to give them something every couple of days to prevent that plaque from hardening. So that's why it is so important, obviously, is it doesn't just have to do with their mouth, it's their entire system that this is going to affect.
Yeah, it's incredible, isn't it? Because I feel like so many pet brands especially go, about dental health like it's a simple thing, but I know like they're always telling you use this product and use this product, but it's just so much more than that. And I think you don't realize how important it is. I think in the last month or two, I've been freaking out about Lenny's dental health because I realized, not that I didn't know, but it is extremely important to their like the longevity of their lives, like they will actually live longer if you look after their dental health. And although we preach it so many times and it probably sounds annoying, it is actually, I think, one of, if not the most important thing when it comes to your dog's health. We worry about what they eat, we worry about, what they're doing, but this should be taken very seriously.
Yeah. And we don't want to come across as annoying and preachy about dental health because we honestly admit we were just giving Lenny bully sticks because they're his favorite every night. and we'd stopped brushing his teeth entirely. And because he doesn't chew evenly in his mouth, there's some teeth that had gone a bit more yellow than the others. So we've started to get into a better routine, trying to give him a more porous bones as well to help his teeth. Because we're just like you know, we get busy with other things. We're not always focused. But as Mel said, we got a bit of a scare just as we've done more research on the topic, and we realize how important it is. So today we thought we'd share some of these tips with you that we've been trying ourselves, and hopefully it helps you out.
100%. So I guess number one for us at the moment would definitely be giving Lenny bones. That's probably is our main routine at the moment. I've got an emu femur in this, which I'll open a little bit later. But what we've got at the moment is we're using root femurs, root teeth cleansers, and emu femurs to clean his teeth. And we rotate through those just to keep it interesting for him. He has a bone every second day. We try to limit it to about 10 to 15 minutes of chewing time. Sometimes he can go longer, but the reason we limit that is mainly for his guts. And I think something that some customers have had a bit of a shock about is I've given them bones and their tummy went funny. And I think something about bones, sometimes it looks like it's got no meat, it's got nothing, like it won't do anything, but it is still something new for them, so you have to introduce it slowly, and that's why we recommend the first time maybe 5 to 10 minutes is your best option. And we've noticed that that's the best way to kind of keep up with Lenny's teeth. And obviously if he isn't obviously if he isn't eating it on both sides equally, this is when we have to think, okay, should we give him a toothbrush? Should we brush his teeth physically? But we found some other alternatives that I think Josh will go through, which I found really interesting, which is about this algae. Did you want to talk a little bit more about that?
Yes, and forgive my pronunciation if it's wrong. So we're having all these noises coming by today. So it's Ascophyllum nodosum. It's a freshwater North Atlantic algae, and it's a type of seaweed, which is really interesting. And the way it works is you put it in your dog's food and they eat it. So over about a 30 to 90 day period, it actually ends up getting into their bloodstream, and it ends up coming back out of their saliva. And the way it works is, you know how I said that your teeth have this biofilm of bacteria. Now, it's normal for us to have bacteria in our gut, in our mouth. We actually live in symbiosis, or we live well together with bacteria. But this one prevents the bad bacteria obviously sticking to the teeth. So they say that over a 30 to 90 day period, there was about a 40% reduction in tartar, which is actually quite good. So if your dog is struggling to brush their teeth, I've even read some reviews online where you add in this Ascophyllum nodosum. Maybe I'll put it in the comments, or Mel can link some information to it. We're yet to try this ourselves with Lenny. We'll potentially got to purchase it because I have been doing more research on it. And some reviewers said that after a few weeks, they were able to literally just wipe off that sort of yellowing plaque or tartar off their dog's teeth because it helps loosen it. So that's one interesting one that we did find that we hadn't seen much on. So let us know in the comments if you have used this product or whether you have anything to say about it. But I found that quite interesting, that it could help remove the plaque and tartar without you having to do any brushing. And I thought it would pair perfectly with a chew, because you can imagine that's going to help loosen the plaque or tartar, or even prevent further bacteria from sticking on the teeth. And then the chew works via abrasion to help sort of scrub it off as well. So I can imagine those two working very well together.
I think, like you said, it is a lot about prevention, isn't it? I think at the end of the day, what we try to promote is prevention through eating bones. We do get some customers that come in with severe cases, and we always recommend you guys going to the vet, making sure that, it's not too far gone. Because, yes, sometimes you will need to get a vet clean done, but the bones, essentially what they do, and this is why we use it with Lenny, is it helps to at least scrub what the plaque and tartar that is currently being able to be scrubbed off. And we try to go in with a toothbrush, and potentially we might look into this algae situation to try and help long term. So I think it's not one size fits all. You have to figure out what works for your dog the best. If they're a great chewer, fabulous.
Yeah.
I envy you.
Yeah.
Lenny was amazing as a puppy, but for some reason, as he's gotten older, he's gotten lazy. So we can maybe go through a little bit about how to actually brush their teeth. So if people want to brush their teeth, or if people want to give bones, maybe we can go through those steps.
Yeah, as Mel said, yeah, it's going to be a combination of things. Some of our pupstomers, they chew so well that the bone on itself is able to actually completely clean their teeth and freshen their breath, and there's nothing else that they need. Even in some studies, not to get too nerdy, but they did a beagle study and they gave them a porous bone for 30 days, and the beagles actually were able to remove 90% of that calculus or tartar, which is that hardened plaque, which is very hard to remove. So it just shows that if you are able to clean your teeth fully with the bones, which you basically can, it's a really good option. In that study, they used a porous bone. So if you are wanting to look for more porous bones, it's things that like the root teeth cleanser, because it's a pelvis sort of bone and has a porous structure. The emu femur is also really cool, which will show you. I actually found this really interesting, but because it's a bird bone, the bone itself is porous because it's a part of the bird's respiratory system. They actually send oxygen through the bone, which is why it's not, as hard and dense as a normal weight-bearing bone. So that's why I think everyone loves these emu femurs, because they're tough but very porous. So they break down, they crumble easily, they're more easily digested, and they also are more effective at cleaning the teeth. But as Mel said, obviously the gold standard is brushing if you can do it. So why don't you share some tips on how you brush Lenny's teeth, or how you think people at home can get their dog used to that sensation of obviously brushing their teeth?
100%. I think, especially when you have a puppy, you want to desensitize them as best as possible. That's the same with grooming, touching their paws. So you want to put your hands in their mouth, kind of get them used to having your fingers in there. They will fight you off 100%. I'm not saying it's easy. We got very lucky with him. He's very tolerant. So that's why we say that brushing is just not realistic for everybody. And I'm going to say brushing is not realistic for most. It is quite an unnatural thing if you think about it, brushing a dog's teeth.
Yeah, it's weird.
It's very bizarre, but it doesn't mean you can't do it. And it is very helpful to get at least the back of the teeth, because I feel like that's the part that's the hardest to get to. You want to make sure that you get a brush that isn't too hard as well, a semi-soft bristle brush. I think sometimes you think you need something really rough. You don't want to hurt their gums. Their teeth are like ours, their gums are like ours. You want something that is gentle but abrasive enough to at least scrub it. And you want to pair that with an enzymatic toothpaste, because that's the best one to actually help break down that plaque and tartar. So we get a little bit, not too much of it, and you just want to put it on top. You can, if you've got a little dog, you do the smaller side or you do the bigger side. And it would have been easier for me to show you, but essentially what you want to do is going to be a bit different. I'm going to move in this one.
So I can hold the mic for you if you'd like, so you can talk through it.
Sure. Okay, so what you want to do is, Lenny, can you get up? Okay, so like he's here, he's going to lay down. You want to lift up, if you can see, their lip here, and you want to get this, and you want to do circular motions. And what I do is I try to count to 30. Realistically, you want to try and do it for, how everyone says you got to brush their teeth for 2 minutes. That's very hard. Try and just count to 30. And I try to aim for the canines and for the back molars. So you want to kind of lift it up, hold their lip like a fish hook. So you want to fish hook it, and you want to get it, and you want to scrub it. Like I said, he's extremely
Being so
tolerant.
lazy, yeah. Usually Mel would get right in there, and you lift it up and put your thumb right in the back to pull it back. But he's gotten used to that.
He's used to it. So that's what you want to try and do. And this is my advice. Everyone is going to do it differently. But for me, I feel like it's worked really well. With the enzymatic toothpaste, it's done an amazing job. And I just do 30 seconds on each back molar and 30 seconds on their canines, and then obviously a little general brush as well overall.
Yep. So desensitize them when they're young. I would even recommend just putting your fingers in their mouth and treat them right away. So that way they're getting a reward from that sensation. And then also a big thing with the toothpaste is never use human toothpaste. They're actually highly toxic because they contain xylitol and fluoride. So make sure you get an enzymatic toothpaste, like Mel said, a special doggy toothpaste. They're incredibly expensive. Every time I go to get them at the shops, I'm sure you all know, it's actually really expensive to brush your dog's teeth. Like the toothpaste now, it's probably $20, $30 for a tube of it, which is crazy. And then, make sure you're sensitizing them early. A special enzymatic toothpaste. You said brush in circular motions with a soft sort of bristle so it doesn't damage their gum line too much. If they do have a lot of plaque or tartar, we found they might bleed a little bit the first
Yes.
few times you brush them, which is normal because you're trying to break that down.
But it's also a sign that they are having some sort of dental issue. If you do see bleeding happening as you're brushing, then you know that they're definitely developing plaque and tartar.
Yeah.
It might not be super serious, like you think, oh my God, they're bleeding, like this is it. But you will notice the more you brush, the bleeding will actually subside quite significantly.
Yeah.
And it will work if you do it in time. If it is, again, too far gone, that's when you want the vet intervention. But for the most part, the toothpaste will be enough. And the reason I feel like it's expensive too is because if they're fussing around, you lose a lot of that toothpaste in the process of even trying to get it in their mouth.
Yeah,
so you're constantly having to put toothpaste again and again on the toothbrush.
Yeah. And if you are concerned, please go see your vet. Make sure you're getting their teeth checked regularly. We've obviously shared some tips on how to check them, like smelling the gum line and lifting up their lip to look at the color of their teeth. Always check those back molars. They're the really important ones that usually get missed.
And also you want to check for the color of their gum line too. If it's bright red, it's most likely something is going on up there as well. And obviously the yellowing. And you will probably see a very thin black line at the very top between their teeth and their gum line. This is usually when you know that plaque and tartar is starting to get a bit serious.
Yeah. And dental disease is really common. You've probably seen this stat everywhere. 80% of dogs over 3 have periodontal disease. So make sure you're onto it because it's going to cause some other long-term problems. You've got options like brushing their teeth, which we just showed some tips on how to do it, sensitizing them early. And since the tartar forms every 2 to 3 days, you want to use some sort of intervention at least every couple of days so it doesn't start to harden. You've got chews and natural
we'll get into
bones,
the chews probably.
which we might show now, tips on how to feed bones and chews safely. Dogs have always had bones. I know there's a lot of controversy around it. There's risks, of course, as with giving your dog anything. They can choke on kibble or choke on a stick out the back. So it's all about properly guided, safe chewing sessions. So maybe we'll show now, Mel, the emu femur, and you can give some little tips on how to give it. And we'll see if Lenny takes it. He's so tired right now. He's had a big run at the park, but Mel can talk through some tips on how to feed chews safely.
Yeah, I think what I want to start off with before I make so much noise with this bag is that, like Josh said, a lot of people have this misconception with bones. I think what happens is a lot of people use it as a way to distract their dog while they get stuff done. We try to promote bones to actually help you. So that's whether that's helping them settle down, whether that's helping them with their dental health. That's why we promote chewing sessions, which means that you're supervising, or at least they're within your vicinity, and you're giving it to them for a certain amount of time. And that not only helps them stay interested in the bone, it actually benefits them way better than if you just leave them with the bone. Because what happens a lot of the time is these accidents that happen with bones happen because they're being left unsupervised. They're happening because you're letting your dog eat it for a very long period of time. And just like anything, if we're to eat a bag of nuts for an hour straight, most of us
bag of nuts. I love my bags of nuts.
Oh my God. Like a bag of, peanuts or walnuts or whatever.
Salty nuts? Do you like
salty nuts.
Roasted?
Oh my gosh. So if you have them for an hour, most of us, people who have dental fillings, it will crack.
Yeah.
And you're thinking, damn, why did I eat this bag of peanuts? This is exactly the same as giving a bone for too long of a time. So anyway, that's my little rant done. So I'll move this away.
Yes. Forgive the noise while Mel opens up this emu femur packet. Lenny's already started eating this one, which is so fantastic. He's already had 2 chew sessions on it for probably 20 minutes each, and you can see how much is left.
I'm going to come up here and show you guys because he actually got through a bit of it, and I want to show you how awesome it looks inside. And this is what we mean by porous.
Yeah.
I'll just come
And you
up
probably
here.
see online too about feeding weight-bearing bones or femur bones, which is why general advice just isn't always applicable. This is an emu femur bone, but you can see it's almost like a non-weight bearing bone because it has this webbed and porous texture. And you can tell as Lenny chews on that, it really crumbles off. You don't really get these sharp sort of edges that break off like you usually would with most femurs.
I do also want to say this looks extremely intimidating and big, but it is very lightweight. And I asked Josh this question the other day too, because I was thinking, man, why are these so light considering how big they are? But like he said, it's because the emus, what is it again?
So it's a type of bird, and the bird's bone is actually a part of their respiratory system. So you know how we breathe through our lungs, and it's just our lungs that our respiratory system, and then the oxygen travels through our blood to our muscles and bones and that sort of thing. Whereas their oxygen travels through their bones. And because the birds usually fly, most birds do, the emu doesn't. Their bones have to be more lightweight. So as opposed to like cattle, which is a very heavy, dense bone that you wouldn't want to give your dog, the emu femur is incredibly lightweight and it's very porous with a lot of air in its texture. So that's why it's much better to chew and lighter for them.
So this is essentially what we do with Lenny all the time. So emu femurs, root teeth cleansers. Root teeth cleanser and emu femurs probably are top two when it comes to teeth cleaning as well. These guys are they're lightweight, they're porous, and you can actually see it working.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So let's see if Lenny will take it. I know he's being a bit of a sook at the moment because he hates filming.
He hates filming. I don't know if your dogs are like this. As soon as the camera is on them, they're just completely different, very shy.
There you go. So
the other cool thing with the emu femur is it contains emu oil, which is actually a natural anti-inflammatory. It contains a lot of omega-3s. So when you think about that, it's actually very good for their gums and dental health because of its anti-inflammatory action as well. And we know omega-3s are very good for your dog's coat, skin, and gut health.
Absolutely. And essentially the way that we feed bones to Lenny is exactly like this. Usually he'll be on a towel while we're watching TV. Right now he's having it on his little ottoman. We would time it on our phone, or you just time it in general about 10-15 minutes every second day. I would say that is significantly easier than doing this.
Yeah.
I'm not going to lie. Even for a very tolerant dog like Lenny, this giving bones is significantly easier. It helps us when we're too busy to do anything, when we've got a lot going on, and he actually enjoys it. I mean, his reaction when we brush his teeth versus his reaction right now is entirely different. So this is why we like to promote bones to clean teeth. But again, it is in regards to chewing sessions and keeping it limited. But that's it. That's as simple as that. Just giving a bone.
Exactly, yeah. Brushing their teeth is a pain. Dental sticks don't work. Like, let's be honest. They're soft, they're mushy. This guy swallows them whole. He might chew them once. And those little green ones are full of chemicals, so expensive, and they're not cleaning your dog's teeth. Whereas this, you can see, they chew on it. It works via abrasion. Dogs have always had bones. And if it's a more porous bone, it actually helps get the top of those canines too, because their teeth can sink in to the porous part of the bone, which helps clean it more effectively. So unlike dental sticks that don't have really any mechanism except chemicals that can sort of help break down that tartar, which I don't want to be giving Lenny anyway, this is a much better and more natural alternative.
I mean, yeah, if dental sticks did work, I would assume that for humans, we would have had an alternative instead of brushing our teeth, right? We would have been given something convenient that we have once a day and that's all we needed. But that's not the case. We've got toothbrushes, we've got electric toothbrushes, different types of Oral-B toothpaste. We've got, chewing gum with xylitol. There's so many, because everyone is different, and dental health is a routine. It is figuring out what works for them. And this is why they might need a variation of bones, of teeth brushing, maybe a type of algae that breaks down their plaque and tartar. But you need to work out what works best for your dog.
Giving your dog a dental stick is almost like just giving them a piece of bread and hoping it cleans their teeth.
Yeah.
If you've looked at the ingredients, it contains so much starch, there's carbs, there's a whole bunch of fillers and chemicals in there. Which brings me also to my other myth I wanted to bust today, is that kibble does not clean your dog's teeth, no matter where you hear
I
this.
don't even know how that
How
even
did this start? How do you think that feeding a kibble can clean your dog's teeth? There's only a few ways that their teeth can be cleaned, and that's via abrasion, like brushing or with bones. That's via saliva or enzymatic action, which is in the toothpaste. That is what's also happening with that sea algae that you can use. So there's no way that something like kibble can actually help clean their teeth. If anything, from what I've read in the research, it worsens it because it's feeding them this type of starch and sugar, which the bad bacteria on their teeth can
And it
feed
sticks
on.
to their teeth when you eat
Yeah.
bread. I mean, do you not have bread in the back of your teeth?
Sorry, everyone. We do these in one take. Unfortunately, we'd finished the podcast and then we checked it and realized that it had cut out and we lost the whole second half of this. So very sad. Mel's not happy about it.
I'm
But
not happy at all.
we're going to pick back up where we left off. Sorry if it was halfway through a sentence. That was probably the best second half of a podcast we've ever done. So you've missed out on the best of us. We're going to continue what we were talking about. I know we were just touching on how kibble doesn't clean your dog's teeth because it's basically just giving them a piece of bread. And we know bread gets stuck in the teeth and ends up feeding those bacteria, which will further cause worsening of their plaque and tartar and further bad breath. So why don't we now switch it up and go and ask Mel some questions that I think might be helpful for you. For instance, let's say your dog, Mel, already has yellowing or browning teeth. Do you think that bones are good enough to clean them?
Yeah, 100%. I think obviously it depends on the extent of how dirty those teeth are. But yes, if you're seeing yellowing and browning on some of the molars and the canines, 100% the bones will make it work. And I can say that for sure because a lot of our customers have actually, they used to go to get vet dental cleans all the time. And then when they started eating the bones during chewing sessions, they went back to the vet and the vet said, hey, you actually don't need another clean. And that was when we realized that bones made all the difference. And if you knew how to actually utilize them in the way that we do, it will make a world of a difference. And it can absolutely revert a really bad situation from happening.
Of course. I think it depends always on your dog's chewing style. I have quite a funny story from my boss, Steve, who actually was quite hesitant in trying them in the first place. He's a country bloke and he laughed when we told him we'd open this dog cafe. But his dog, Billy, had very yellow teeth and she required vet dental cleans every year and it was costing him over $1,000 each time. So he's like, okay, well, let's get about $100 worth of bones. And he just started giving her the root teeth cleansers and letting her chew on them as she wanted. And then I got a text from him a few weeks later. He'd gone to the vet and the vet said no more need for any more dental cleans for Billy. So that was amazing. And he was so happy and has been a customer ever since because it's literally preventing Billy from needing dental cleans, which are not only expensive, but they're very high risk. So putting your dog under anesthesia, they can even die from that. Not to scare you or anything like that, because obviously
But it is high risk. It is high risk, and you don't want to have to do that for majority of their lives.
It's preventable.
Billy was what, 4 or 5 when she needed dental cleans all the time. That's super young. You don't want to have to do that every year up until they're 10 and 15 years old, right?
Yeah, and most of this is preventable. Some dogs will have very bad teeth genetics. We know that, just like us. But if you do some of these practices regularly, that will prevent them needing these dental cleans. It'll save you money and put them at much lower risk of needing a surgery like that. So Mel, let's say I did want to start giving my dog chews or bones and I felt confident that they were going to work for cleaning their teeth. How would you start for a dog who's never had a chew in their life before?
I think if they've never ever had a chew before, first of all, you want to limit the first chewing session to just about 5 minutes. And that's mainly to watch them to see how they react to it and how they actually chew. If your dog is crunching down on the bone straight away, you'd want to stop that instantly. You want to hold one end of the bone, which is what I did with Lenny, and you want to hold it and you see how they eat it. And you want to encourage gnawing. So just kind of using their teeth on both sides, they're nibbling with their front teeth. That's what you want to watch out for. And you just want to encourage really good chewing habits. That's what I would do. And obviously provide some water and just give it that for 5-10 minutes and just see how they react. Because obviously anything new in their diet will have some sort of reaction, in their guts. Some of them not, maybe not for Labradors. But for dogs like Lenny who are very sensitive, just keep it to a very limited session and just hold it and just see how they actually eat it.
Yeah, some dogs can literally eat, a whole tree out the backyard or any food that you give them. Whereas dogs like Lenny, a little bit of a change in diet and all of a sudden they've got a runny tummy. So of course, this is just a tolerability test that we recommend if you think your dog's going to have a sensitive stomach. Particularly, we found with Lenny, he does very well on the hypoallergenic chews. We think he's a little bit allergic to kangaroo, but he seems to do very good with the emu femur and he does very well with the bully sticks. tends to go okay with the kangaroo teeth cleanser as well. But as we said, anything with too much raw meat, he tends to react to as well. He definitely can't have chicken, of course.
Mm.
So just see what your dog reacts to and tolerates. Obviously, all of them will be different.
Yeah, I think what happens a lot of the time when you give bones as well is that if they do have a reaction, you're instantly thinking, oh, it's the bone. It's
Yeah,
bones. It's
yeah.
not all bones. It's likely maybe they're having a bit of sensitivity to that
Mm,
particular protein. So it's the same with Lenny. Anything new that we give him, we have to kind of give it to him for a short time just to watch. But
mm.
then over time, he builds a tolerance. And that's how you get them used to eating bones.
Yeah, and the first time they have it, they could have a bit of a reaction because the marrow in bones is quite rich to their digestive system. But if they get used to it, then it's actually fine and it can be a good practice for cleaning their teeth. A good place, I think, to go from here, we might not have already spoke about this, but things that don't work to clean their teeth is dental sticks never worked for Lenny. He's swallowed them whole or might bite on them once. They're full of chemicals, especially those green ones. I don't know
Oh, God.
why they're so popular. They're expensive. They're so bad for your dog.
I
I
just
don't
don't understand.
understand.
I
Yeah,
mean, if you look at it, if you look at the actual stick itself,
yeah,
if there was something that we humans had as an alternative to brushing our teeth, which is just to eat a stick a day, we
mm,
would have had that.
mm,
I just don't think that that is the solution. I mean, if
yeah,
it's working for you, I'm glad. But to be really frank and to be honest, they're not doing anything at all. I mean, if you're
mm.
chewing a stick or you're eating bread, that shit is sticking at the back of your teeth, right?
Yes, yeah,
So you do need to brush that off. And it's the same with dental sticks. They're not
yeah,
abrasive. They're not scrubbing anything off. They might
yeah.
freshen their breath slightly,
With
but
a
it's
bit of
not
mint.
worth it for
Yeah,
the amount of fillers that are in there.
yeah. A couple of other things we might not have touched on is another one. Another tip is using coconut oil, which is amazing. It's antibacterial and it contains an ingredient, lauric acid, which actually helps as well break down some of that bacteria on your dog's teeth. So the way you'd use that is you can put a small amount of coconut oil on your dog's toothbrush, or if they don't like the toothbrush, you can just put it on like a bit of gauze or a cotton bud or whatever it is and rub it on their teeth, and that actually will also help break down the plaque. So coconut oil is great. It's a really good antibacterial. We even use it if Lenny has little sores and
Yeah, it's good
things.
for his paws and his nose. It's amazing. Just don't use too much of it.
Yeah.
But it's really good. It works wonders.
And they like the taste too.
They love
Unlike
it.
unlike some toothpaste which they don't enjoy, they really love coconut oil.
Yeah.
And then the last thing is diet, which is incredibly important for their oral health because giving things like kibble, which we touched on, are very high in sugars and can feed these bacteria on their teeth, which can worsen their dental health and breath. So make sure you're trying to, if you can, move away from high grain kibbles, things that have high amounts of corn, soy, and wheat in them. If you are going to give kibble, try and give ones that are higher protein, which have good fats in there. And if possible, I know that a lot of dogs feed raw, and it comes up that, oh, it's too soft, so it's not going to clean their teeth. But if you think about it like us, whenever we're eating more lollies and sweets and that sort of thing, that's when your teeth get a lot worse. So
Mm,
eating a high protein diet that has a lot of fruits and veggies and that sort of thing is going to be good for them.
100%. Yeah.
So, in summary, I suppose I hope we've covered everything because we missed obviously the second half of this, so we apologize. We have had to cut it. But for modern dog parents, we're busy. We don't always have time to brush their teeth, but if you do, we've shared tips on how to do that. To check that to check their dental health, lift up their lip and see what their gum line is looking like. If it's too red, that's not good. It's inflamed. You don't want yellow or browning on their teeth, especially check those back molars. If you are going to try and brush them, always treat or reward them to improve their sensitivity over time, and try it from early on when they're a puppy to try and get a finger or your toothbrush into their mouth so that they get used to it. Secondly, to that, if you're unable to brush their teeth, the tartar or calculus forms every 2 to 3 days. So you want to implement a strategy that you can have in your routine to prevent that hardening from forming. So whether that's chews, which we know work via abrasion, and also increasing saliva, which helps break down that plaque. So that's very good if you can use more porous chews like the emu femurs or root teeth cleansers. We talked a little bit about that algae, the Ascophyllum nodosum, which we said gets into their bloodstream. It sounds like a Harry Potter thing, doesn't it? Which gets into their bloodstream and works enzymatically so that the bacteria can't stick to their teeth as well. We talked a little bit about coconut oil, which is an antibacterial or antimicrobial. So very good if you just put some of that onto their teeth, and avoid things that are high in sugars and starches. So if you can avoid the kibbles that obviously have a lot of grains. I don't think dental sticks work very well. There might be some out there that are a little better, but unless your dog's chewing on them and they're getting that abrasion from it, it's probably not doing a lot. And kibble definitely doesn't clean your dog's teeth. We've busted that myth today,
No
so
way.
don't believe any of those marketing claims. I think I've summarized basically everything. If
Yep.
you have any other suggestions, please let us know in the comments how you clean your dog's teeth. We're all trying to look after their long-term health. We don't want them to have to get these expensive, sort of risky surgeries. Always consult your vet. Of course, this isn't medical advice. I don't know if I should have that exclaimer. I always hear YouTubers.
These are just suggestions based
These are
on
just
what's worked for
suggestions.
us and Lenny.
Exactly. Based on what's worked for us. This isn't medical advice. We're not doctors or vets.
And like I said, anything, whether it's a
of-
small stain, a bit of yellowing, just ask your vet. It doesn't hurt to ask them,
Yeah.
how bad the situation is. But the rest is, upon yourself to try and find the best routine that works for them. And for us, it has been a combination of mainly bones and some, teeth brushing when he was younger. But yeah, this is just not realistic. Long term toothbrushing is just one of those things that are just extremely hard and just really unnatural. But if you can do it, please do it. It's really good for them. But yes, I think bones are definitely something that's worked extremely well for Lenny.
Yeah, that's all we do is give
That's
them a
literally
chew
all we do.
basically every day.
And his teeth are
And we
great.
haven't had to brush them. I know a lot of our pupstomers as well say the same thing, where all they do is give chews. So if that works for you and that's the most convenient, then that's what I'd stick to. Of course, brushing we know is the gold standard, but as Mel said, it's just not realistic. They're
Yeah.
not like us. We can't just brush their teeth easily. So that's why we thought we'd talk through some of these other options that might be able to help you. Let us know in the comments if what you thought of today's episode and whether it did help, whether you're going to try out any of these methods. We might be getting that algae soon, so we'll let
I'm
you know how that
excited.
goes. But thanks so much for tuning in with us this week. Much
Thank
love from
you.
us, from our family to yours, and hope you have a good long weekend. Thank
See
you.
ya.